Okay, Hare Krishna, good morning everyone. So today we are reading from, every day we have these classes, these discourses, and these different speakers who speak on the realizations and the teachings of our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. And he has brought these teachings of our eternal relationship with the Lord, who is known by different names, either Krishna or Jehovah, Allah, Yeva, so different names. So when we hear about the Lord in the association of devotees and about his dear devotees, our heart becomes purified. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, entitled Scheduled Incarnations, and we're reading from text 15. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So the words are on the board. Anta sarasi urubalena padagrihito Rahena yuta patir ambuja hasta artha Ahedam adi purusha khila lokanatha Tirtha Shava Shavana Mangala Namadeya. We'll do the word for word. Anta Sarasi, within the river. Urubalena, by superior strength. Pade, leg. Grihita, being taken up. Grahena, by the crocodile. Yuttapati, of the leader of the elephants. Ambujahasta, with the lotus flower in the hand. Artaha, greatly aggrieved. Aha, addressed. Idam, like this. Adi Purusha, the original enjoyer. Akhila Lokanatha, the Lord of the universe. Tirtha Shavaha, as famous as a place of pilgrimage. Shravana Mangala, all good, simply by hearing the name. Namadeya, whose holy name is worth chanting. So translation by Srila Prabhupada. The leader of the elephants, whose leg was attacked in a river by a crocodile of superior strength, was much aggrieved. Taking a lotus flower in his trunk, he addressed the Lord, saying, O original enjoyer, Lord of the universe, O deliverer, as famous as a place of pilgrimage, all are purified simply by hearing your holy name, which is worthy to be chanted. Please repeat. The leader of the elephants, whose leg was attacked in a river by a crocodile of superior strength, was much aggrieved. Taking a lotus flower in his trunk, he addressed the Lord, saying, O original enjoyer, Lord of the universe, O deliverer, as famous as a place of pilgrimage, all are purified simply by hearing your holy name, which is worthy to be chanted. So we'll read the purport by Srila Prabhupada. The history, it's a very long purport, so please. here. The history of delivering the leader of the elephants whose leg was attacked in the river by the superior strength of a crocodile is described in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Since the Lord is absolute knowledge, there is no difference between his holy name and the personality of Godhead. The leader of the elephants was much distressed when he was attacked by the crocodile. Although the elephant is always stronger than the crocodile, the latter is stronger than the elephant when it is in the water. And because the elephant was a great devotee of the Lord in his previous life, he was able to chant the holy name of the Lord by dint of his past good deeds. Every living entity is always distressed in this material world because this place is such that at every step one has to meet with some kind of distress. But one who is supported by his past good deeds engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7:16. Those who are supported by impious acts cannot be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, even though they are distressed. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7:15. The personality of Godhead Hari appeared at once on the back of his eternal bearer, Garuda, and delivered the elephant. The elephant was conscious of his relation with the Supreme Lord. He addressed the Lord as Adi Purusha, or the original enjoyer. Both the Lord and the living beings are conscious and are therefore enjoyers, but the Lord is the original enjoyer because he is the creator of everything. In a family, both the father and his sons are undoubtedly enjoyers, but the father is the original enjoyer and the sons are subsequent enjoyers. A pure devotee knows well that everything in the universe is the property of the Lord, and that the living entity can enjoy a thing as ordained by the Lord. A living being cannot even touch a thing which is not allotted to him. This idea of the original enjoyer is explained very nicely in the Ishopanishad. One who knows this difference between the Lord and himself never accepts anything without first offering it to the Lord. The elephant addressed the Lord as Akila Lokanatha, or the Lord of the universe, who is therefore the Lord of the elephant also. The elephant, being a pure devotee of the Lord, specifically deserved to be saved from the attack of the crocodile, and because it is a promise of the Lord that his devotee will never be vanquished, it was quite befitting that the elephant called upon the Lord to protect him, and the merciful Lord also at once responded. The Lord is the protector of everyone, but he is the first protector of one who acknowledges the superiority of the Lord instead of being so falsely proud as to deny the superiority of the Lord or to claim to be equal to him. He is ever superior. A pure devotee of the Lord knows this difference between the Lord and himself. Therefore, a pure devotee is given first preference because of his full dependence, whereas the person who denies the existence of the Lord and declares himself the Lord is called Asura, which means demon. As such, he is given protection by the strength of limited power, subject to the sanction of the Lord. Since the Lord is superior to everyone, his perfection is also superior. No one can imagine it. The elephant addressed the Lord as Tirtha Shravaha, or as famous as a place of pilgrimage. People go to places of pilgrimage in order to be delivered from the reactions of unknown sinful acts, but one can be freed from all sinful reactions simply by remembering his holy name. The Lord is therefore as good as the holy places of pilgrimage. One can be freed from all sinful reactions after reaching a place of pilgrimage, but one can have the same benefit at home or at any place simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord. For a pure devotee, there is no need to go to the holy place of pilgrimage. He can be delivered from all sinful acts simply by remembering the Lord in earnestness. A pure devotee of the Lord never commits any sinful acts, but because the whole world is full of the sinful atmosphere, even a pure devotee may commit a sin unconsciously as a matter of course. One who commits sinful acts consciously cannot be worthy of being a devotee of the Lord. But a pure devotee who unconsciously does something sinful is certainly delivered by the Lord, because a pure devotee remembers the Lord always. The Lord's holy name is called Shravana Mangala. This means that one receives everything auspicious simply by hearing the holy name. In another place in Srimad Bhagavatam, his holy name is described as Punya Shravana Kirtana. It is a pious act simply to chant and hear all about the Lord. The Lord descends on this earth and acts like others in connection with the activities of the Lord, just to create subject matters for hearing about Him. Otherwise, the Lord has nothing to do in this world, nor has He any obligation to do. He comes out of His own causeless mercy and acts as He desires. The Vedas and Puranas are full of descriptions of His different activities, so that people in general may naturally be eager to hear and read something about His activities. Generally, however, the modern fictions and novels of the world occupy a greater part of people's valuable time. Such literatures cannot do good to anyone. On the contrary, they agitate the young mind unnecessarily and increase the modes of passion and ignorance, leading to increasing bondage to the material conditions. The same aptitude for hearing and reading is better utilized in hearing and reading of the Lord's activities. This will give one all-around benefit. It is concluded, therefore, that the holy name of the Lord and topics in relation with Him are always worth hearing, and therefore He is called here in this verse Namadeya, or one whose holy name is worth chanting. Prabhupada ki jai. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Pe Krishna Goswami Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati So I seek the blessings of all the devotees that I can speak something that is beneficial to all of us. So, in this long purport, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned about the pastime of Gajendra, who's in the form of an elephant. And he also talks about the importance of the holy name. And the holy name, just like in the Bible it says, hallowed be thy name. The holy name is not different from the Lord. So when we are chanting the holy name, we are experiencing the presence of God, of the Lord directly in our life. So this pastime of Gajendra the elephant is further elaborated in Canto 8, which is another subsequent book that Srila Prabhupada has written from this one. So Gajendra, in the form of an elephant, he was very big in size, and he was the king of the elephants, and he was very proud of his strength. Just like yesterday, Ramai Swami Maharaj was saying how in the material world everyone is proud of something, proud of beauty, proud of wealth, of being born in a rich family, of very extraordinary strength. So in this example we see Gajendra, he was a very powerful elephant that when he walked through the forest, he could even enter the heavenly planets, and he was so huge. His legs, when he walked in the forest, the whole mountain range was vibrating because of his great strength. And he had many wives, the she-elephants, and many children who were accompanying him. And he wanted to go to this heavenly place, Trikuta mountain range, where there was a garden which had beautiful lakes and waterfalls and beautiful golden lotus flowers, and the atmosphere was so beautiful. There was amazing fragrance. Everything was so perfect, just like in the heavenly planet, which is described how it is in the heavenly planet. So when he was walking through the forest, his body was being scratched by thorns, but he didn't mind it. He was so proud that, oh, this is so minor, this is insignificant, and he was showing off to his she-elephants. And when he reached the Trikuta mountain range, he entered the lake to quench his thirst and to remove the fatigue that came when he walked through the forest. So he took water in his trunk and he drank deeply, and then he was sporting with his elephant family. He was taking water in his trunk and splashing it on his wives and children. So we can see from this example, even in the human form of life, this is going on. Where a man becomes very rich and he wants to show off his opulence and treat his family, his wife and children, and have fancy cars, go to fancy functions, and try to enjoy palatable dishes and drinks or wine or things like that, trying to enjoy separately from the Lord. But we don't understand that, just like it's shown in the example of Gajendra, that you have to go through so much endeavor, so much struggle just to get some bit of enjoyment. So they walked up the mountain range, so being scratched by the thorns of the trees and getting so tired, walking and getting fatigued. So there's no difference with us in the human form of life. We're trying to also enjoy. So what's the difference between the human being and the animal if we are also trying to do the same thing as the animal, which is sleeping, mating, defending, and procreating? So we all do the same thing. Animals also have children, we have children. Animals also mate, and they have, they're trying to look for shelter, they're trying to enjoy, trying to get away from suffering, so defending. So what is that distinctive feature in a human being that distinguishes us from animal life? Can anybody think of what is that distinguishing feature that we hear about always in the teachings? Anyone would like to say?
We can think of, what is the meaning of life?
Yes.
Who we are, what is our basic.
Yes, thank you. Yes, so we can inquire who am I, who is God, and what is my relationship with God, and what is my situation, my place in the universe, as Krishna Rupa Mataji mentioned. So we have this ability to inquire about higher purpose in life, not just trying to find where is food, where is shelter. So this material world, as Prabhupada describes in Bhagavad Gita, there's 8,400,000 species of life, and it's just like a Ferris wheel. We're transmigrating from different species of life until we get out of this loop. And this human form of life is very rare, because we are coming in the cycle of this 8,400,000 species. So we are getting out of this loophole when we inquire, we utilizing this benediction of the human form of life, of how to get out of this material world, and we go back to the eternal world. So in the eternal world the material world is a reflection of the eternal world. Just like when we're looking on a lake and there's a huge tree, a huge banyan tree, and when we look on the lake, that same tree is reflected on the lake, but it's appearing upside down. The roots appear to be upwards and the trunk appears to be downwards. So what we are experiencing in this material world is a reflection, a perverted reflection of what's happening in the spiritual world. It's like we see in these paintings, these pastimes going on. Krishna here is with his mother, Yashoda over there, he's with his cowherd boyfriend. So there's the relationships, everything that's happening here in the material world is also happening in the spiritual world. But in the spiritual world, it is pure and it's in relationship with the Lord. Everything is centered on the Lord, on Krishna. Whereas in the material world, we are trying to be individual lords and we're trying to enjoy this material world. So getting back to this pastime of Gajendra, when he got in the lake, then there was a very powerful crocodile who was also living in the lake. Because when Gajendra entered the lake, he's so powerful that the waters got disturbed and the living entities within the water also got disturbed. But this crocodile came, and then he came quietly and he thought, how dare this Gajendra come and disturb our waters? I am going to teach him a lesson. So this crocodile, he came and he bit the leg of Gajendra. Now I can understand even now in this age where the elephant is quite huge, but in those days when that elephant appeared, it was humongous. It's inconceivable how big it was, because it was in a different previous age where the living entities were much larger, so even the human beings were larger. So the elephant was quite huge. So this crocodile bit its leg, but even though the crocodile is so powerful, because it was situated in the water, which is not its natural habitat, it became weaker and weaker. And even his own family members, the wives and the children, they tried to get him out of the water. They were trying to pull him out with the tails. Each of them were holding the tail to try to pull him out, and even the baby elephants. But none of his family members could help him. And then they started crying and they stood at the edge of the lake. So also from this example, you can see that even though our family members love us and they want to do good for us, ultimately even our own family members can't save us. So Gajendra, because he was very fortunate in his previous life, he performed some devotional activity. So because he was a king in his previous life called King Indradumna, and by somehow or other he was cursed in his previous life by a sage to become dull like an elephant. But because of his devotional service, he could remember his previous spiritual activities, and he remembered a prayer, a mantra, and he picked up a golden lotus flower from the lake, and he held it up. And he started chanting these prayers that, my dear Lord, you are the supreme controller and you are the protector of everyone. Please protect me. So this is actually a very unique thing, because when we are in distress, not every single one of us will turn to the Lord. We might seek shelter from our family members, from our money. Just like Prabhupada, he was in Bhagavatam, he mentions about how there's one wealthy man, he was trying to ask the doctor, I'll pay you so much money, please give me 2 more years so I can wind up my business. But even the doctor couldn't save him, because when one's time is up, it's up. So we're trying to look for shelter in the material world through the doctors, our family members, our money, our strength, our beauty, whatever we can, we try to utilize that. So it takes a very rare soul and a very fortunate soul to turn to the Lord for protection and for shelter that I am suffering. So Gajendra was a very fortunate elephant. So he prayed to the Lord, and immediately, he didn't pray to any other personality. Just like if we are in distress, like some people will go to the minister or something like that. So Gajendra, he didn't go to any demigod, like who is in charge of the waters or in charge of the sun, different demigods. He went directly to the Lord himself. So the Lord immediately came on his carrier Garuda, and he immediately he pulled out the elephant by the trunk, and the crocodile was still holding onto the leg of Gajendra, so he also pulled out the crocodile simultaneously as he was pulling out Gajendra from the lake, and he chopped off the crocodile's head with his weapon, a Sudarshan Chakra. It's a disc weapon, and immediately chopped off that crocodile's head. And out of the crocodile's head appeared an effulgent personality. So in his previous life, this crocodile also was a great king in the Gandharva planet, and he was being very silly, and he was playing in the water with these beautiful like heavenly angels. They called Apsaras, beautiful women, and he pulled the leg of the sage, and the sage became very angry that he was being silly. So he said, you become a crocodile in your next life. But that king became repentant and he begged forgiveness from that sage. So a curse by a sage is actually turns out to be a benediction always, because a sage is connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and whatever curse comes about by the will of providence, by the will of the Lord, it's always for the higher benefit of the living entity, just like we will hear also in the pastimes of King Chitraketu, where he was cursed to become a demon, a great demon called Vritrasura, but that is to bring him back quickly to the presence of the Lord, to the eternal kingdom. So Gajendra, he was saved and he took on his eternal form. He took a four-armed form of the Lord, and he attained Sarupya Mukti, which is liberation, and he took a similar form of the Lord. So in this pastime of the Lord, we can see how Gajendra, he accepted whatever suffering that came to him. There's a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam which says, Tattenu kampam susamikshamana bhujana evatma tam vibhakam. I'll just check quickly. Right. So that verse, Hridva Vapurbe Vedata Namaste Jivetayo Mukti Padeya Ayabak. So the consciousness of a devotee is that when we are suffering, the devotee will say, my dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. So we see in the pastime of Gajendra, he was cursed to become an elephant, and he accepted that curse because even though it wasn't exactly his fault in whatever the reason was that the sage cursed him, it's described in this purport also that every step, that every step there's suffering. We try to avoid so much suffering, but we can just be walking merrily on our way and we can stub our toe or hurt ourselves, bump our head, just something even minor. At every step there's danger in the material world, but we understand, okay, whatever happens will happen, but we keep the goal in mind. Our goal is to serve the Lord, and by serving the Lord in the association of devotees, our heart becomes purified, and then we can go back to the Lord. So in this Srimad Bhagavatam 8.2.3 purport, Prabhupada mentions that the lesson in the pastime of Gajendra is that in our, I'll just read what Prabhupada says in the purport. It says, in our fight with Maya, just like as spiritual practitioners, we are actually going against the grain of the material world. We are trying to swim uphill. So in our fight with Maya, we should not be in a position in which our strength, enthusiasm and senses will be unable to fight vigorously. So we need to place ourselves in a normal condition of life. What constitutes a normal condition will not be the same for everyone, and therefore there are divisions of varnashrama. So there's divisions created in the material, in the Vedic literatures it says there are different divisions of life. There's single life, brahmachari, grahastha, married life, vanaprastha, and sannyas, the renounced order of life. So it's not that one size fits all. Everyone's different. So we need to situate ourselves, and we take guidance also from the scriptures, from the devotees, and from our spiritual guides, our spiritual mentors, Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, of what is practically good for us in our situation at the stage of life we are at. So when we're young, and we can take up brahmachari life, which is the life as a renunciate, as a celibate monk, or a lady who dedicates his life to serving the Lord, taking instructions from authorities, and engaging in full-time service. And then when one is ready, so it's giving the example here that the elephant was not in its natural situation in the water. So if one feels inclined that, okay, now I've dedicated my life to being a monk and now I'm ready for marriage. It's not that we force ourselves not to get married if one has that inclination. If the sex desire comes, there's a sanction there that yes, you can engage in sex life, in married life, for procreation of children. Then that is not a fall down, but one can take advantage of these divisions of life to our advantage and then make gradual progress in spiritual life. So whatever stage of and phase of life we are in, it's not that we compare, oh, this person's better because he's a monk, or this person's better, they are enjoying because they are materially situated. With every ashram, there's advantages and then there's also austerities to perform in that life. So with married life, yes, there's license to enjoy, but with that enjoyment comes responsibility to have children, to engage them in the Lord's service, to help them also understand their eternal nature as a servant of the Lord. And also, just quickly mention, Prabhupada mentions here modern fictions and novels, so literatures. So like we have many novels, literatures. In my time when I was growing up, the book Harry Potter came out and I was so into it, and I became like I was addicted to it. I couldn't put it down. But and there's also many movies and science fiction movies, whatever one is attracted to, comedy, whatever, novels, literatures. But the thing is that with these literatures, Prabhupada mentions that it cannot do good to anyone. It agitates the mind unnecessarily and increases the mode of passion and ignorance. One may read romance novels and start imagining, oh, I'll be that princess, or I'll be that prince, and the knight in shining armor will come and save me. But it doesn't give us eternal benefit. It's just like trying to grab onto some shadow. There's no substance. Because the material world is perishable, it's going to finish. Like the material body also. As spiritual practitioners, we understand, yes, our life is eternal, but this body we need to give it up because we want to go back to the eternal spiritual world where there's reality, it's non-material and it's eternal. So by hearing and reading about the Lord's activities, that's why it's mentioned, Prabhupada mentions that the Lord has no obligation to fulfill. He's standing here playing his flute, we can see in his deity form. He's eternally enjoying. He doesn't need to come here, but because of his great mercy, he's coming here to show us his pastimes so we can become attracted to his pastimes, hear about him, read about him in the association of devotees. And we are getting that substance, not the shadow of the material world. And Prabhupada mentions here, this will give one all around benefit. So we also learn how to live in the material world practically. So we learn about cleanliness, external cleanliness, bathing our body, utilizing our senses in the service of the Lord. And then we also hear about internal cleanliness, purifying our heart, eating food that is blessed by the Lord, offering everything first to the Lord, our clothing, our vehicle, whatever we buy, we use it in the service of the Lord, utilize it in the service of the Lord, and it becomes purified. So the holy name is described as Shravana Mangala, all good, Punya Shravana Kirtana. So just by always engaging in chanting the holy names of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Then we keep this focus in mind. We may go about doing our daily activities. Someone might be going to university, someone might be going to work. Whatever activities we are doing, and we need to maintain our family, we don't neglect that duty. We do utilize whatever material facilities we have in the service of the Lord, but we always keep that goal in mind, that my goal is to serve the Lord and His pure devotees, and eternally our goal is to go back home, back to Godhead, where we can enjoy eternal life in our spiritual form. Because we are here in the material world, we are actually a spiritual entity, a soul that is experiencing, for us, a human experience, Gajendra experience, and is a spiritual entity, a soul experiencing an elephant body. So we don't want to keep coming back in the material world to try to experience a tree life, insect life, a bird body, different bodies, or even human body, different types of human bodies. We want to get out of this repeated cycle of birth and death and disease and old age, and go back to the eternal world where there's no birth, death, disease and old age. There's just eternal engagement in the spiritual world. So I'll end there. I'll just quickly read the translation again. The leader of the elephants, whose leg was attacked in a river by a crocodile of superior strength, was much aggrieved. Taking a lotus flower in his trunk, he addressed the Lord, saying, O original enjoyer, Lord of the universe, O deliverer, as famous as a place of pilgrimage, all are purified simply by hearing your holy name, which is worthy to be chanted. So if anyone has any questions, comments, corrections, or any other questions from any other previous classes, or anything one has read, or any. Okay, thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.